Let everyone know they're being recorded. Justin, you're being recorded for this podcast. Oh my God. Hands up, don't shoot. Yeah, right. Don't shoot, don't shoot. So yes, here we are again. This is now number 2 already, dude. It's crazy, man. We're already on the second one of I almost said the old podcast title. It's Iris of My Eye, but we're interviewing another beautiful soul over here, so it's gonna be Iris of Our Eye. And his name is Justin Eckert. A little bit about him that I'm gonna say, and then I'm gonna allow him to introduce himself. I met him through an ayahuasca circle. Hopefully the FBI isn't listening or anything crazy like that. But the first ceremony was one of the first ceremonies that I was just helping facilitate for that circle. And then very many moons later, he ended up helping me record my first album. So I'm very grateful to have that experience and have met him. And without further ado, Justin, lay it down for the people. Who are you? What are you doing? Why are you here? What's going on?
I am Justin Eckert. In my space that I work in, I go by Black Market. That is the music industry. That's my producer name. That's what I built my business on. Basically, I am and do a lot of things.
Good.
Mostly what I do for work is music and music production, audio engineering, editing podcasts, working on commercials, TV commercials, that kind of stuff. And then it's almost been 2 years now. It's maybe like a year and a half. I graduated from the Antheo God training through our mutual ayahuasca circle, learning how to guide and facilitate all types of medicine ceremonies. So I do that as well, and I'm just learning to be, I just am.
Just a person. Just a person.
Just another human trying to live this, soak everything up from this human experience and be a light.
Well, that's a beautiful thing, man. That's a beautiful thing. I think that's one of the reasons why we resonate so deeply and are such good friends. Even though obviously we live on opposite sides of the country, but that's beside the point.
Yeah.
I feel obligated to impart this wisdom because I made up this word yesterday because I had this like very beautiful synchronistic experience as I was like navigating creating part of the podcast thing of like the cover art and the thumbnail because I was looking for this information that I sort of found, and I need Taj's help to be able to make the artwork change that I want to make. But the thing I'm trying to get to is in that thing, I created this word because something came into me of the concept of why we chose to incarnate as people at this time, in this place, in the space, and the thing that we're doing here on Earth. And I decided to go with the word pie night. I created it. It didn't exist before, but now it does, which is cool. And it's that essentially, yeah. I hope so. Hope somebody gets some value out of it. It's the idea that like through that concept of like you chose to be here. There's like 4 reasons that I like found when I was looking at it, and one of them was like learning, vacation, and then contribution and support. And when I heard you say that, it's kind of brought that to me of like you sounded very much like you're in like a learning lifetime and a contributing lifetime, sort of, if I could say that. Yeah. So that's fucking dope, bro. Definitely same. I hope I can get on that vacation wavelength at some point, but just right now, just learning and contributing is what I'm here to do. So on to the actual thing that we're doing here. Let's go with the first question that I think is very important as artists. What is art to you?
Oh man.
Yeah, dude.
I wish I could one word it without sounding cliche. I mean, I feel like it's the deepest level, it's the deepest form of expression that even if somebody takes it and performs or creates art sarcastically, that is still an expression of how they view the world. So you can really see, how you can almost see a reflection of yourself in every art created by other people. And then, of course, when you create your own art, it's almost like it's like falling into the deepest presentness in that moment that you can see. I've never seen anybody creating art that isn't present with their art. It's almost like a view into what they could be at all times as humans. And then, of course, that's all opinion based. So that's a reflection of me. And I know when I create art, I'm super present. And then with everything else, like, maybe with communication with friends or with my wife or something like that, I'm not as present as I am when I create art. So becoming aware that there's so much meaning that you can find in creating and seeing others create, understanding how we operate, how we move, how we express ourselves. And then also art is awareness. So if I could one word it, I'll say two words, but of course one word explains both: expression and awareness.
Damn, bro, that was beautiful.
Yeah.
So, I guess I will just add or compile or build upon that foundation that you just laid out.
Yeah.
Just simple. I'm trying to keep it short. Don't want to go too crazy, but how you were saying that when you create art, there is, as long as you're not getting distracted by your phone or life, that like it is
Right.
completely and utterly all of your conscious attention and energy is like, this is what I'm doing. How you go about it is obviously totally your style choice, but and what your medium you're doing is also the style choice. But yeah, it's absolutely totally engrossing. You're completely present in that moment. And then I like to think of myself more and more now these days as an artist and like a poet, warrior, philosopher thing. But especially when you said communication, that kind of like resonated with me of how like I try to like be very particular with the words I use and like the phrasing and like when I'm talking to people, making it sound as like concise and poetic and intelligent as I can, so that like people as long, but also making it understandable because you can use as many big $5, $10, $100 words as you want, but if you're talking to a full room full of like first graders, they're gonna look at you like, dog, what the heck are we talking about, man? Like, I don't know what any of those words are. Can you use a picture to describe it? Because that's worth like 1,000 words, but
Right.
it's simple. It's gotta relate to your audience the best you can. Make yourself do you have clear, understandable communication.
Also, if I can add to that, one more thing is something I was thinking about is
Go for it.
if you don't know where to begin or how to manifest, sit down and create art. That is the most powerful form of manifestation to me, and the easiest way to understand it.
Dude, that's thank you for that because was meditating earlier as I try to do if I'm not needing extra sleep. And even if I need extra sleep and there's time, I'll get up and then meditate afterwards. 'Cause I get up at like 5 a.m. like a ridiculous human being. And that there's been, especially in the last podcast, the end of it, it was like Marquise was saying like, hey man, like yeah, make that intuition, like learning how to connect with your inner knowing intuition course. And I'm like, shit, that's a great idea. And then like two different levels of it, like a free like 3-week one came into my brain, and then a 90-day like, hey, you got to pay me for this one because it's even more awesome than the other one. But how you're saying of making art as like the most simple yet profound way of understanding and conceptualizing and learning what manifestation truly is, I'm just like, yo, that's some wisdom right there. I got to put that in the course for sure, both of them. But definitely just
Yeah.
starting with the 3-week one is like, sit down and make art, dog. Like whatever. I'm not even gonna tell you what you have to do. Just pick something and start. Like
Anything.
anything, literally anything. It's better than nothing. I saw a infographic kind of thing where it was like a staircase. If I could put a staircase here above myself doing it. That was like a person was on the first step and they hadn't started walking up the staircase, and then that was the first part, and the second part of the next the same exact picture, same thing. It was like, but under it was like right now, and then a year later, and it was like, no progress has been made in your life because you haven't started, so you have to start.
Yeah.
So start now, do something. It's better than doing nothing. But sometimes doing nothing is the right thing because you need to relax. If you grind too hard, you're gonna fall apart way faster.
Right.
Phew. All right. So the next one here is that I want to ask you. Why are you an artist?
There was a pause there, and I thought you were just going to end it with "Why are you?"
Dude,
it's a good question. Why are
that's
you?
yeah. Why? I mean, we could do that one next, but I just realized my cadence. Like when I speak, dude, I take really long pauses where I'm like breathing super deep, and I'm like, what the fuck? It just I don't know. Who am I, man? Like, what the fuck? What is my open this way? I don't know.
So you said, "Why am I an artist?" Right?
Yes.
Okay. I feel deeply. Empathic. I don't think really describes that very well. There's it's almost like a language when I create. It's almost like some people call it like a high or something like that. I don't ever want to chase a high. I think it's a connection with divine, to be honest. There's just something that ignites inside in it, and it's I've learned to be patient with it, which has helped me to love it even more and love it, unconditionally, which means even if I don't feel creative, I know that it's still there, and I know I just need to experience more of it, or experience more of humanity to get there. It's a relationship. Being an artist is a relationship with yourself, with the divine, understanding, becoming the most aware of yourself that you can to create, to express yourself in that deepest form. And also it is how can I put this? Gosh, there's so many things around that question that are just, I mean, I could probably go on forever about it, to be honest. I mean, I'm an artist because I feel everything all the time, all at once, all around me, and I have to channel it and funnel it into something. And it's an amazing feeling when that channel isn't blocked. It's just clear. And
Sure.
I think I chase that. Yeah.
Would you describe that channel to the connection with the divine as the muse, as your muse, or do you feel it's a would you describe it in that terminology, or like how do you feel like you can cultivate, or what have you found to be a effective way or fun way to build and establish a deeper relationship with your muse?
Being present in every moment outside of creating art. For me, art is created through my experiences. My art is created through my experiences. I think it's safe to say for most artists it is. It's their human experience that they're expressing pretty much. But I have to go out and live life, and almost I kind of found out that sometimes I have to complicate things on purpose. so that I can understand it, or experience it, both the positives and the negatives, and then have a place to create, from. But being present, I mean, going out and buying groceries, you know what I mean? You might stop and you might breeze through the grocery store and get what you need, and you're not, sometimes I'm like, I don't want to see anybody, I don't want to talk to anybody. I just put my headphones in, I'm going to go straight to the peanut butter, and then I'm out, right?
Mm-hmm.
But other times when you're present, there's so much more opportunity to be inspired by things. I think my muse is the world. I don't have like a specific thing that I kind of go to get that inspiration from, or have like a siren muse that gives me, fills me with creative juices. I think it's just everyday life, and then visualizing. I feel like a lot of it in the past was judgment, almost looking at somebody and then like building an entire life around what they look like. Like you see an old man in the store. Like when I was selling cars, we used to have people come in all the time, like farmers come in all the time in overalls, covered in dirt, all kinds of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or like, oh yeah, this guy's here to buy a beat up truck, right? And then he hands you a check for $70,000. He's like, I don't want that big dually over there. And you're like, where did you get this money from? You know what I mean?
Right, like, what?
Yeah. So, not judgment in a bad way, but almost like in an artistic way. Like I feel sometimes you can look at somebody and just feel where they are and feel where they're at. And without a, you can empathize with it without like an objective view. If you can look at it objectively and kind of maybe build some stuff around that, and then also just personal experiences, that's where I kind of gain my inspiration from. A lot of the times it's other artists, other things that I see. Sometimes I write songs when I'll like watch a movie and I'll build a whole other concept based off the emotions in that movie. So just life, being present in every moment with everything that you do and being intentional with how you operate can bring so much inspiration.
Fantastic, man. There was two things, but then right at the end, there was one thing that I had, which now that I remember, good. I'm glad I remember it, dude. The mind is so frustrating sometimes. Where you have a thought, and you're like, this is great, and then as you're explaining the thought, it just disappears, and you're like,
disappears.
You're like, bro, I needed that, and now I look like an idiot.
Yeah.
What the heck?
That's why I stopped smoking so much weed.
Same, dude. I'm like 3 weeks sober now. I'm gonna be like a month sober in another week. It's gonna be dope.
I was like a month sober until 2 days ago, and I bought a little sack.
Smoke that shit.
But it's still been good. Like it's still in moderation. I was like an everyday smoker, so.
No, yeah. It's there's levels to this shit, right? You could be fucking getting high every day and totally living in the smoke cloud of marijuana, and you're losing vocabulary words. You're like, I know these words. Where did they go? You're
just completely taken out of life at that point. I feel like.
Yeah. It's a great there's a word for it, but I can't remember. Maybe if I didn't smoke so much weed, maybe I'll remember it. But the thing that I was gonna say was related to what you had said in regards to judgments, casting. I like to say casting judgment stones because it's like then it's like ripples out into like the pond, or because water and emotion and thought and creativity and air, those elements are very interwoven together. Like oxygen is literally like what keeps us alive, and like.
Yeah.
You can combine hydrogen and then you get water. Like they're literally like one element off from one another. It could be ridiculous. Casting judgment stones. The quote, I think it's Muhammad Ali, is like treat the janitor or the server as with as much dignity or respect as you would like a CEO. And I just imagine this I just kind of like tried to wire my brain as like this is the default way of just like treat everyone as if they're a fucking billionaire, and like you're sitting across somebody who could completely and utterly change your life. Like there's definitely like contextually that isn't going to make sense all the time because you know that like the person across the counter from you that you're trying to like ask them for help or like want to work with them as another artist to artist kind of thing, but they're giving you this like, dude, you missed the timing and you didn't like you didn't jump through my hoops the right way, so like I can't take the 5 minutes to have a human to human conversation with you because I'm at work. And you just gotta like let them have their style choice and realize that if that's their energy they're coming with you then you're not gonna want to work with them in the future, and that's just how we make decisions when based on energy and emotions and feelings of my style choice and his style choice in that moment.
Right.
Try to describe that as like generally as I could without like name dropping or like giving too many specific details, because that was just an irk that I had yesterday that I was like, man, dude, like if this is how you're gonna be, like I'm good, bro. I don't need your tutelage. I'm just gonna go about learning how to make jewelry on my own. Thanks, but no.
Yeah.
The other thing that you said was like right at the end, but now that I got so deep into that, probably not gonna remember. And I'll look back in the future and be like, oh, dude, that's what you should have said. Well, but oh well. was it related to inspiration though? I'm pretty sure. Well, you know, these ones look pretty good to me, especially because I generally aspire to greatness. But do you aspire to greatness? And then also, what does it mean to aspire to higher art or like greatness in your art? Is there like, do you think? I guess I would almost frame it as like, do you think there's just a way to make great art and then not aspire for any type of like um, status, money, wealth, fame, power, any of that stuff? And then the opposite is the opposite also of that, like flip side of the coin. Like, do you think that's like a thing to be? I mean, obviously, it's not going to fulfill you, or people. Everyone says it's not going to fulfill you, but like maybe that's your life's path is to do that. But the floor is open, good sir. Aspire for greatness in your life.
Yeah, I think there is a I definitely aspire to my understanding of greatness as being the best version of myself that I can be. And the expression of art and the, you know, the beanie, the hoodies, that kind of stuff, like that is not that is not me. Becoming the most aware that I can of myself and my being is like my idea of greatness. Well, I won't say but. And when you're in the space that I'm in, as far as the music industry goes, in producing producing engineering music, especially in the genres that I do, there's kind of no way to get out of notoriety.
Mm-hmm.
So people are going to know you, and people are going to know what you do, and there's going to be a fame to it, right? Now I don't aspire to get there, and I don't. Uh, I used to. I used to want to be known and used to want to be famous and all this stuff, but learning over time that that stuff almost starts to cloud the art.
Mm.
So you get into a place where you're creating the art and you're like, man, well, nobody's liking it. Well, it doesn't matter. That that doesn't matter. And the more that I create art and don't worry about whether people are going to receive it or not,
Mm-hmm.
it's more well received. Uh, and I think that's because people can fully see, you know, intention.
Mm.
So yeah, and that's another huge word. My intention is not to be famous. My intention is not to be well known. My intention is not to be rich. Do those things come with the space I work in? Definitely. Do those things sometimes cloud even still? Definitely. But my number one priority is definitely to be the most aware of myself and how I can, and then expressing that through however I want to express that without running it through a filter or, you know, the limiting belief filter
Mm.
of, will people like this? Is it good enough? Things like that. So that's what I aspire to, and whatever comes with that comes with it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I don't expect it to.
So you just to express as authentically as you possibly can is what I'm hearing. Yeah, cool. I definitely aspire to be wealthy. I'm not gonna say that I'm not. That would just be a lie. Because I've had these experiences where I've heard at least two people that I can think of off the top of my head right now who are like eat the rich, and it's just for me, it's just like, dude, you just sound like such a jealous prick right now. Like if you had that the way that like billionaire status, yeah, that's kind of fucking over the top. Like you've crushed it for like forever, dude. Like you're
Right.
literally like
Yeah.
your ancestors would have to like really squander that abundance for you to like
Right.
lose your lineage to lose it. Yeah, like what it just like if you had it, you would be like, yeah, this is fucking dope. Like, why would you not want that? It's like I like to ask people this to like kind of get a sense of where they are and their like life spiral or surrounded. Like the money energy is like, would you rather have not enough money or too much money? And like no one that I've ever met is like, I would like not enough money, please. So obviously that's the better problem to have.
Yeah.
But then the follow-up question is like, would you rather have like enough money to like live, or would you like? I don't know. Actually, I can't remember exactly how I phrase it now. I'm thinking, and I'm saying like too much, so I'm trying to not do that because my dad is be rolling in his grave. He heard me doing this. Is would something about happiness is like if you had enough money to cover everything and there was no actual survival level or instinctual stress around lack or scarcity, like how much money do you think you actually need to be happy, or like something like that, or how much money do you think you need to buy happiness, um or what's more important, having even more money than you need, or happiness?
Yeah, but for me, do I want money or do I want freedom?
Mm,
And there is a certain security and comfort that money provides. There's a certain freedom that money provides. But for me, I like to think that money only mattered when I worked a job that I didn't like.
mm,
Like it only mattered that much when I worked that what job I didn't like. Now that I do everything that I want and get paid to do that, it's
mm,
almost like I've broken out of that system and I have the freedom to make money doing what I love. So I have a different job, but at the
right.
same time, it's not necessarily a job.
Well,
So
so oh no, sorry,
go
sorry, yes.
go ahead. You're
I was
good.
gonna say, so it feels like I don't know. Have any background in or have ever read Rich Dad Poor Dad?
Mhm.
Yeah, so like I was just gonna go over like the pundit square thing of like owning it, being a employee, owning a business, but like owning the smaller one where you're not like a hundred plus people working under your business. Technically like own a job is the way he describes it. But it's like if you feel the way you feel about it, you feel free and are passionate about it. Like in my mind, the way he just made it sound was that it was like kind of still icky and you're like scrounging or in scarcity almost. Because
Survival.
yeah, yeah, he wants people to like level all the way up to where he's at and get to like being a big business owner where you got over 100 or 500 people or whatever the number was, and then being like getting to the investor status where you have so much money that you're just like, yeah, I'll give this random person $1 million and then make $10 million off of it, and then just be like,
Yeah.
well, now I got 10 times what I had. Wow, that's crazy. I'd like to think
Yeah.
one day could get to that level, but how you're saying that money, certain types of money, if the way that you go about earning your money could come with less freedom than it would seem that it actually gives you.
Right.
Because I think about the concept of like the golden handcuffs, that like if you sign the contract with Hollywood and they own your likeness and image, like, and you go against the cultural narrative, like you're out and you might have
Yeah.
that money, but like you're never gonna work in show business again. Like,
Yeah.
so
Well,
it's
what did uh Robert Kiyosaki, right, is the guy who wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad. So
I believe so.
he said,
That
I mean that
officially.
the whole thing through his book was make your money work for you, not you work for your money.
Mhm.
And I think that's where I was going with that. I kind of make my money work for me at this point,
Mhm.
and that's a beautiful thing. To be, I would rather be stressed out about money in the place that I'm at now than be stressed out about money and have a secure job. So I'm like, it would suck because you're like, I have this comfortable thing this ritual, comfortable thing in place. I'm still not making enough money. I'm just a slave to this thing,
Mhm.
you know? And now, even if I don't make enough money, I'm not a slave to anything. So at least I can open my mind up to other opportunities.
Absolutely, dude. That's beautiful. I'm just curious, how much travel do you like to do? How much traveling do you like to do, I guess, essentially? Because in my mind, I want to be like touring and going out around the world as much as I
Yeah.
possibly can for a phase, a seasonally, however
Yeah.
many years it's gonna be.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious because like I feel like I'm gonna need however much I'm gonna need to be able to afford to do that. But if you're not traveling as much, it makes sense that you would feel like you don't need that much money.
Yeah. I mean, if you like live out of live out of a van or something like that,
Living
that
out of the tour
is,
bus, baby.
yeah, that's super easy. Like I've known bands to grab a sprinter bus. They all pitch in and they buy a sprinter van, and they live in that thing for like forever, until they're done touring. But I want to travel. I want to travel quite a bit. I have traveled quite a bit for my career.
Sure.
I want to travel more. I don't have a I guess I don't have a strong opinion about like staying or moving or anything like that. It's in this job you have to network. So or in this space you have to network. So it's very important to continue to travel around, and I love it. I mean, I'll be going down to Alabama the 25th and 26th, or 25th and 26th to play stand-in bass for a band that I've been recording.
That's dope.
I was just down in Nashville this past weekend. Let's see. I haven't done too much traveling this past year because we moved. I think I flew out to somewhere, but I can't remember. I've been down to Atlanta. I went down to Atlanta this past year to collab with a producer down there.
Cool.
So traveling is important. I love to travel. If I could travel all the time, if I could be out just like every day doing something, hopping city to city, I definitely would.
I'm trying to get there right now. The plan is to figure out a tour bus situation, and then I'm attempting, at least in the beginning, is to like not have to like throw too much money into it after getting it, so I don't have to like insulate it and all that crap. And just like get a platform and a mattress and the bed set up in the back, and then like just live where the weather is really nice for half of the year, and then come back to California for the other half of the year. At least
take showers at the beach shower.
Yeah, right, to the gym, wherever I gotta go to fucking find a shower, the laundromats, or like meet some random chick that's like, yeah, you could use my washer and dryer if I'm done having my way with it or whatever.
I knew that was coming at some
Yeah,
point.
dude, come on. I'm a red-blooded American man. I might only be half gay, but I want to have fun with the ladies. I could be honest with you. I've healed enough to not have any more shame in my game.
Yeah, of course.
So in the similar or different vein of traveling, and because I think it's fair to say traveling and seeing different life experiences is a very powerful inspiration. Am I correct? Incorrect? You think? Yeah, okay. I'm glad we could agree.
Yeah.
And so in that, I don't know. I feel like I'm hopping from like like the flower of life. Put the little right above me.
Okay.
I feel like I'm hopping like in between, like this transitioning between like one little circle to the next circle, and that thing in the middle of the two circles. I love this because it's like a great symbol, and I don't even know what the fuck I'm saying anymore, but great symbol thing of like transition. The Vesica Pisces has been a very profound thing in my life. It's like relationships and auric fields work in the exact same thing. It's like it mirrors everything everywhere all the time. So, and hopping from circle to circle here, just to get to the point. What do you feel like has been your most profound, important inspiration, influences on your art? But then also, I kind of want to like try to go backwards wherever we are in our fucking timelines of life right now, to go backwards to when you feel like you first started to realize, or like it's like if you're going to be like right from the perspective of like a writer or an author, it's like the inciting incident that like causes the hero to go on the hero's journey. But then for like me personally, before I like really started to take on that archetypal thing of being an author or a writer, would be like, how do you feel like you like individualized or individuated away from like your parents and like society telling you like this is the story you have to live by? So take that and then go with it as it evolved over time in your influences, please, if you could.
Yeah, definitely. I think initially music was an escape.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of things in my childhood that contributed to me wanting to isolate, and then also creating specific behaviors that I'm trying to correct still.
Yep, healing is eternal, right?
Yes, it is. And music was that escape. Music was like that safe place, you know. My first, I'd say my first like becoming aware moment was my uncle had this cheap like Latin nylon guitar,
Mm-hmm.
nylon string guitar, and I immediately when I would go over to my Oma's house, I would go to my uncle's room and I would pick up that guitar, and I didn't know one thing about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just knew that when you put your finger on a string on, one of the areas of the fretboard, it made a
Mm-hmm.
different sound than what it did before. So I would sit there and play it, and then finally my uncle gave it to me, and from there I just fell in love with that instrument. I fell
Mm-hmm.
in love with the guitar, and it was my way of escaping from life, escaping from the bullies, escaping from the kind of like emotional abuse and stuff, and the abuse that was happening.
Right.
Um, so that just every time that I went into that place, I fell more deeply in love with it, and then I started seeking other inspiration, like what are other people doing with their music. And one of my biggest artist influences is John Mayer.
Oh, really?
I love John Mayer, and I love John Mayer in music. John Mayer, John Legend, and Music Soul Child are my top like three. Excuse me, top three people that I just fell deeply in love with and were deeply influenced by. So I learned their songs. I went further and learned more instruments, and I played in a big church. I went from playing in a youth group to playing in a bigger church setting. I mean, it was a huge, huge like mega church that we went to.
Oh
So I
boy.
played lead guitar, rhythm, backup drums, backup piano, and then probably when I was around like 17, 18 years old, I started getting with the sound guy, and I
Mm-hmm.
started getting really interested in sound. Then I moved and uh, learned the soundboards, learned the programs, learned all that kind of stuff. And then when I turned 18, I ended up joining the military, and I was still involved with music. I still loved music. I still wanted music to be like my life. I just didn't know how that was going to work. So I was being pushed in a lot of different directions, like from parents and friends. Get a steady job, make money, go to college, all this other stuff. So I ended up going to U of L University of Louisville, after I graduated from basic training, because I joined the National Guard. So National Guard is like part-time Army.
Mm-hmm.
So I only had to do 1 week in a month, 2 weeks out of the year, and then if I ever got deployed or anything like that, then I would have to go for that and be active duty, you know, throughout that time. So I went to U of L. I didn't like U of L, didn't like college. It was not working out. So I came back home. I worked on Fort Knox, and I got in with, not necessarily a bad crowd, but just a crowd that just wanted to drink and party all the time.
Right, right, right.
And so I found myself kind of like falling into that. And I had a good friend who said, "Hey, come down to WKU, which is in Bowling Green, about 2 hours from Louisville, Western Kentucky University." He said, "Come down there. I've got a house for you. We can be roommates, and this and this and this is going to happen." So I went down there. He introduced me to his friends, and everything was awesome down at WKU. A lot of life lessons, a lot of learning stuff, and a lot of really people on the same wavelength. A lot of people who like to create music. I think that's what kind of formed a lot of where I'm at today, because throughout that time I was learning how to use every program I could,
Mm-hmm.
from Reason to Logic to Pro Tools to FL Studio to Machine, like everything that I could. Then I deployed, and I came back, tried to go back to college. It didn't work out. Ended up becoming a manager at Best Buy. Then I became a car salesman. The car salesman thing was just like, if I felt really like dirty. I felt
Yeah,
like I was
right,
just like really just screwing people over all the time. Like it was bad. But during the time I was selling cars, I had a roommate. We had a house where we turned the living room into a studio. And he started telling people like, "Oh yeah, Justin will record you. He's got a studio." And I'm like, "Ah, dude,
Don't do that. Don't do that. I'm not ready.
yeah,
I'm not ready.
yeah." I was like, I kind of know what I'm doing, but I don't. So I started charging people like $20 a song, and then eventually it came out to like 30 an hour. And then I was kind of faced with like after kind of a major relationship breakup, I was kind of faced with a decision like, what am I gonna do with the rest of my life? Because I'm looking at all of these things all together right now. I'm becoming aware of like my relationships, what I've done personally to be responsible for the things that have happened in my life to lead up to now. I need to gain some control. I need to do what I love, and I need to ignite this, passion that I have for music. So I was 28 years old at the time, and I opened my first studio in Bowling Green. And then from there, uh, it just took off. We opened a second location a few years down the road, 2019. Yeah, 3 years down the road. That was the location you came to, and we had, we were like in a plaza in a commercial space.
Right.
So really the big like moment that kind of ignited everything to open the studio and go full head on with, my passion was, I was being pulled in multiple different directions. I was being pulled in a direction of married, white picket fence, house,
Mm-hmm.
uh, insurance salesman, car salesman,
Mm-hmm.
like go to college,
Boo.
go to college, stick to the plans, stick to the formula,
Mm-hmm.
the agenda, whatever you want to call it,
The script.
and
Yep.
the script. Yeah, exactly. And I always joke with people, and I say, man, I was about to be a Jerry. So you know Jerry from Rick and Morty?
Yeah, I was just
Just
immediately. I was like, no, dude, not a Jerry, bro. That's like right up there.
yeah,
Like if you should call people NPCs, man. Like you're being an NPC right now, man.
right, dude. Yeah, I was like, man, I was on my way to becoming Jerry, bro.
God bless your heart for
And
not doing that. Jesus.
and Jerry plays his role. He plays his role very well, but in those end couple seasons, he's definitely taken on some control, and he's like gained some of his dignity back for sure.
Right. Yeah, man.
Uh, but early stages of Jerry, that's where I was going to be at, just deeply insecure and always wondering if I was going to be loved because I was going against the grain and like all these other things. So my eyes opened up, and it was kind of like, all right, Justin, like stop feeling bad for yourself. You haven't
So,
done anything to even try to get to a point of where you want to be at. So there's no reason to feel bad for yourself. I could understand if you tried and you failed, you could feel bad for yourself, but you haven't even tried. So try this.
damn,
And that's what
bro.
I did. I just took a leap. I took a big jump, jumped out of the job matrix, unplugged from the matrix. It's been a wild, emotional roller coaster since then, but it's been beautiful.
Dude, that was beautiful.
Thank
I
you.
like. I appreciate you being so vulnerable and sharing your story so deeply. I felt and heard and bear witness to that, and like it felt, I just so many times I'm like, oh dude, like shit, he's saying shit that I'm fucking going through right now, or that I will be going through, or that I have gone through. I was like, jeez,
Yeah.
it's so similar yet so different. The fucking this quote, I don't even know where my friend got it from, but it's like the one thing that makes us all the same is that we're completely unique, and then like we
Yep.
can just like I think that's what makes people so interesting to me, and why I love to listen to other people's stories, is that like there is that little bit of like, oh, this is like similar to me, but then it's just something that's deep inside of me is like I can be quiet, I can be in silence, an inner silence, and an inner settling of the calming of the surface of your mind to
Yeah.
and allow the other person to pour their wisdom and their experiences into it, and then see like what comes out of it or what I can gain, but also like what I could then also share, be like, oh, you poured this, like let me pour that into your pond and see what the fuck kind of culture comes out of it, or like what new
Right.
thing,
Yeah.
like get like
Yeah.
super crazy and beautiful with it.
It is. Yeah.
But thank you.
Yeah. Thank
So
you.
I'm just doing what I was put on the planet to do, my guy. At least that's what I like to say now. So
Yeah.
I think we got time for at least one more short question, if it's
Okay.
even possible. If you think you could, or think you can answer the question, either I'll give you two, and then the one I want to go out on is pretty profound, so I'll try to give it to the last 5 minutes. But
Okay.
so we could either do what is the telos, which is a Greek Socratic idea, I believe, of like what do you feel like the function or purpose of your art is, which I don't know if we kind of already spoke on about earlier or not, or you could do the where do you see yourself as an artist evolving, or where do you hope to evolve to in the next 1 to 5 or to 10 years, depending on how far you've even projected your own capability or idea of yourself into projected onto the screen of the future.
Yeah. I think both of those can be answered kind of in the same way, to be
Beautiful.
honest.
Sure.
With my art, I want to establish the best relationship with myself that I can. And I'm going to grow and I'm going to change. And it's almost like being in a relationship with another person, as unique as they are, watching them grow and watching them change as as you live your life with them. So it's kind of the same thing with myself. I don't know what I'll be interested in the coming years, or my hopes in evolution of my art and myself is that I just become closer and closer to myself, understanding more and more of myself, to a point of being able to express myself in any shape or form that I want. I don't really have an expectation of what that looks like or how that should look. I'm very at a place where I want to be present, and then I can look back and say, wow, this is where it took me. The evolution of my art is getting to the highest point of awareness that I can, and deepening this relationship that I have with myself.
All right, man. Cool. Absolutely. I concur. I
Yeah.
agree. I like for that for you, that sounds beautiful, and I love that for you.
Thank you.
So the final question that I want to ask is a little, I wouldn't say crazy per se, but
Save the best
God,
for last.
yeah, to try to go out on a high note, or like just somebody for the people that like get the formula and like, watch every episode. They're like, oh yeah, here comes the last one. Let's see what this person says, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Keep like a regular routine in
Yeah.
place. It's function or structure. So like God willing, knock on the table. Like if we were to both bite the dust as soon as I stopped hitting the record button and it was all over, we had to fade to black. The curtains of the stage are closing on our lives here. What nugget of wisdom do you want to give to the listener? If like you could say it to through a megaphone or into like a little microphone that like put it in everybody's brain all over the entire world simultaneously, what would that be for you right now?
So my nugget is the true measure of a man is how he treats someone who can do him absolutely no good. That's a quote from Samuel Johnson, and it's also a quote that you can look at yourself with. The true measure of myself is how I treat myself,
Mm,
even when I don't treat myself very well.
that's beautiful, dude. I didn't I love asking that question because I never know. It's like a life's like a black box. You never know what you're gonna get. Like Forrest
Yeah.
Gump.
Right.
I never even see that movie. I feel like such a fraud, like saying that. But
Oh,
everybody knows the quote or the line, but like
yeah.
I'm so like anti Hollywood now that I'm like rah, like rah. But I should just fucking shut the fuck up and
Tom.
watch the movie. I like my whole thing is like if I'm gonna watch a movie, I want to watch it like with somebody
Yeah.
else.
It's hard to watch that movie now because Tom Hanks is on the list.
Thank you. Like that's what I'm saying. Like God damn it. Like
on the Jeffrey list.
Yeah, he's an island boy.
He's an island boy.
He's an island boy, bro. That's what I say now. Like, yeah, you're just an island boy. But I'll
like
just
R. Kelly. Can't listen to R. Kelly. Somebody asked me to DJ. I was DJing the other day. Somebody asked me to play. Like, can you play some R. Kelly or something? I was like, nah.
Nah, dude.
I
Absolutely
can't.
not.
I definitely can't anymore.
Dude, for sure,
It's
bro.
over.
I was trying to like speak on the island boy R. Kelly phenomenon to somebody at my job, dude, and I had to use this like bit. I can send it to you after this or share with you after we're done recording. But it was like this comedian, I can't even remember his name. I'm just bad because I want to keep explaining the story because it's so perfect. So I have to remember his name. I think it's like Gianmarco something. And he's like going over like what kind of pedophile like R. Kelly actually is because he wasn't into like totally prepubescent. He was in the like that weird age range of like 12 to like 17 or whatever the fuck it was for him. And he's like pedophile, phebophile or ephebophile, and like the only reason that like no one makes that distinction is because you just sound like a fucking pedophile doing it. I'm just like, I will never like. I'm trying to give credit is due because I'm not that guy, and I would never steal his joke and perform it as if it was my own on stage.
Yeah.
But like, dude, that shit is so fucking hilarious. It's so perfect.
It is. It's like we try to classify.
Right? Because like why? It's all not great. But like, I guess like it's slightly less bad if she was almost about to turn 18, guy. But like, you're still gonna get fucking destroyed in prison as soon as you get in there. Like, no one's gonna sit there and listen to you and like hold the space of like, yeah, I guess it wasn't that bad. Like, no, you're sex offender's a sex offender's a sex offender, bro. Like, you're done.
Yeah, man.
What is it ever called? Isolation or whatever they got, like protective custody or whatever that is.
Yeah,
but
PC.
that's what I'll pretend is my nugget of wisdom for people is that stand-up comedy bit today. That's our time, that's our energy. We're at an hour here. I'm gonna have to edit out pauses and things as I need to, but I'm just gonna stop the recording now. Justin, thank you so much.
Appreciate you, man.
Absolutely. For anybody listening, like, comment, subscribe, and give me your thoughts, your feelings, your opinions, even though they're only worth 2 cents, down in the comment section on YouTube or wherever you're listening. And I appreciate you so much. Thanks.